Good morning, everybody. I wanted to finally make this video that I said I was going to make. Sarah, you're amazing for having such a big family and so many responsibilities and just being on top of it all, because all the things got in my way of making this one small video. So, I just wanted to address our interpretation of Funschooling journals and accompanying resources, because I'm seeing a lot that people are asking, you know, is this a full curriculum? What do I need to go with it? And there's definitely more than one way to answer that question, but this is my answer. So, my daughter is clearly young. She's 5 years old. Some people might say that she is advanced in reading and writing. I don't know. I don't really look up to see where she's supposed to be, but she's got her strengths and her weaknesses just like anybody else. So, our family is a family of readers. We read a lot of books, and that's why Funschooling journals work so well for us, because we are ones, and I actually learned this skill through buying a book-based curriculum. The curriculum didn't wind up working for us, but I'm still glad that I bought the curriculum, because I learned the skill of collecting resources that all tie together to go with, you know, what you want to learn, and then sort of learning how to roll with where that learning takes you sometimes, and being able to, the reason I couldn't do the curriculum is because we wound up on offshoots all the time. Like, you know, the curriculum wanted us to do this next, but she would have a question that was sparked by something that we read and something that we were doing, and we would just roll with it. We just go with it. So I'm glad that I learned the skill of collecting resources. And that is how we've been schooling since we bought that curriculum, is just having a lot of resources to teach us things. And then we found Funschooling journals, and these journals have been our way to tie it all together. So I'll show you how here. So we were walking around our property the other day, and we found both a frog and a toad. And my 5-year-old daughter, who has all the questions in the world, wanted to know what the difference was. So we looked up a YouTube video. She made some notes about what's different between frogs and toads. She drew some frogs and toads. She drew frog and toad from the books that we already had and already read all the time. And then we dug into some accompanying resources. And we have a bunch of different things. This is one of my favorites. You know, here's some stuff on amphibians, but then you scan the QR code and it takes you to more resources that you may have never found. You know, I've got other books, and it's just, I'm just sort of trying to illustrate how, like, different books can just show you different, you know, different things, and some of them are just fun, just all fun, like Frog and Toad is. Some of them are informative and still fun, but really learning something. And we just do all the things. We do all the books that are on theme. So another way that we wind up using the journals is like for math. I got a curriculum. I got a curriculum that is called Math Mammoth, and it wound up being a little too dry for us. So I think I said in my other video that I use it as a guide to sort of help me move forward when I'm not quite sure where to go from where our learning has taken us. And so I'm still really glad that I have this, but we have ceased using it. I'm thankful for our method of learning, because, like with math comes very naturally to me, but I understand it a certain way, and if I can't explain it to her the way that I understand it, then I get stuck. So I love that we have these open-ended graphs to work with. I really love that Sarah puts the numbers here, because Dagny always asks me, you know, how do I write this number? And I'll have to write it first so she can copy it, and it's great that they're just right there in front of her. And then she can have the space and take all of her books that she has. So she's got books that are like, here are some problems, and then you lift the flap and you can see the answer. Sometimes she tries to solve them. Sometimes she just looks at the problem and the answer just to make those connections. She's got books that are just all about counting. and just to help her count to 100. She has it down pretty good, but you know, just like any 5-year-old, she misses some numbers and mispronounces some. We have books that have actual hands-on games and activities that we can do to learn different math concepts. And we have just stories that include math. This is all about all the cans that they're collecting. This is a class that wants to make some food, so they get given a certain amount of money, and then they go to the grocery store and they learn how so much money becomes less money along the way, and you just sort of follow the problems along. Sometimes we just read it, sometimes she gets in and she does some physical handwriting work. Some of them just have a lot of different math problems. This is like sort of mystery based, and then she does the problems, and this is where she writes her problems down. Now, I was just showing her how to do this, and she picked it up pretty quick, which was really impressive to me. And she practiced this a little bit, but it was a bit hard, which is fine. I let her do as much of that as she wanted to. Her favorite way to do the problems is to say, like, this is how many there are to start with. I'm marking how many are taken away, and then she counts from there, and that's her favorite way to do it. So I love that it's flexible. She can figure math out her way, and I'm just giving her all the resources she needs to you know, find her path in learning that. Another example is that at the beginning, when we first got this journal, we picked out our books like they told us to, and this is the book that she picked out for a big read aloud. And so I read it aloud, the big thick version, and then we got her own, and in the beginning she was stumbling all over it. And now, about 2 weeks later, having read it every day, she reads it every day, she is whizzing right through it. And of course, you know, some of it's memorization and all of that, but that's all part of the journey, isn't it? So she'll take pages from this and she'll copy stuff. That's how she practices some of her writing on these pages. I loved this about the Funschooling journals. We weren't doing this before. It's awesome. I love it. She'll take a page and it says, you know, find a picture that you want to draw from your library book. She took Wizard of Oz. She drew Dorothy throwing water on the witch and the witch melting. And just in case someone couldn't tell what was going on there, I think it's super clear. But in case you couldn't tell, she decided to, you know, write down what was being illustrated. So that's another example of how it all works for us. The last thing I wanted to show you was, well, I guess I have one more thing to show you before the last thing. Sometimes we don't have anything at all planned, and so I love these journals for that, because if I'm sort of in a hurry or I'm doing chores, then it's great to be able to pull out this kind of journal where it shows you an animal, you know. It helps her to learn to read. Then she looks up a YouTube video. She knows how to use YouTube. I'll type something in for her if she can't do it herself. And she'll look up a YouTube video about the animal, and she'll get into some books that we have, and she'll find what they eat and, you know, where they live, and she'll read. She'll do all these. I encourage her to do these because I like how it makes her slow down for both reading and writing. She gets to practice her writing and spelling. And so it's great to have. And then I have another book, another journal that I love for independent work. She knows what's expected of her in this journal. And so she just jumps around. I have no rules for her in this journal whatsoever. And sometimes her brother helps her. So this journal may look messy, but a lot of learning happens in this journal. She's been getting better at her drawing, and she's been getting better at her reading, because these journals just make her feel very confident, which is really nice. And there's bits all through the journal. She jumps around, so it's great to have something like this for independent work. I just wanted to toss that in there. So back to the resources. I'm going to bring you down here. Hopefully my floor doesn't look too messy. When she's ready, she's not quite ready, we're going to be moving on to a big geography unit year. It's going to be a whole year unit because we're going to cover a lot with it. And she's not quite ready for it, but I wanted to show you how I've collected these books. A lot of these were put together by the curriculum that I got. And so I had collected those, but I also collected a bunch of other books to go with the same unit. And it's just a good illustration of all the things that I use, or that I will be using. So this is a great book about a little girl that wanted to bake an apple pie, but her local market was closed because the guy went fishing. So then she uses a multitude of modes of transportation to get to the different parts of the world where all the different ingredients of an apple pie are made. And it just covers so much and provides so much opportunity for extended learning. I love this book so much. If you don't have this book, get it. We're going to be able to cover, you know, modes of transportation, cultures, different parts of the world, you know, recipes, healthy eating, following recipes. At the end of this book, there's a recipe to make an apple pie. And we'll take this into a bunch of books, but we'll also go on field trips to local farms that, you know, we'll be able to see cows being milked and take that milk home with us and skim the fat off the top and make butter. And here on the property we have apples. We'll probably have a look at the life cycle of an apple because we'll be able to watch it right in front of their eyes. And we'll do as many field trips as we can around this, so they'll be able to live their own sort of mini version of the book. And we're really going to dive deep and look into the cultures and everything too as we get to each of the cultures. So I got all kinds of books to help us with that. Stories from around the world, art activities that help to bring some stuff alive, like we can build a passport, go on our adventures to different places, make maps, make puppets, all sorts of things to really bring it alive. We'll bring language arts and animals into it, all the different animals of the world, and bring language arts into it. They'll get to start to understand the bigger picture through books like this. Like this girl starts in her bedroom, and then it goes from her bedroom to her whole house, and then from her whole house to her backyard, to her street, to her town, to her state, to her country, and to the world. And it just like slowly opens the lens to the bigger picture. You know, flags, another adventure, you know, activities to go along with it. Looking at children from around the world, you know, where they are and how they live. Just all kinds of stuff to go with it. And we'll wind up, I think, I'm not positive, but I think that my daughter is most likely going to pick the Fashion Dreams journal, or the Fashion School journal, to go with this. And there's a couple of other journals that I know, like we got the 7 Continents journal for free during the free giveaway, where we'll use that. We'll use the United States one. I like the look of the Travel Dreams one. That'll probably be later, but you know, I'll be able to work with my daughter, find the journals that work best to help bring all of this together, because this is just all these resources. I never had a good way to bring it all together, and that is where Funschooling journals have come in for me, and they do the job so wonderfully. I am just so thankful for them. So